Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the story Nook. Today, we are going to be reading another chapter of I'd Rather Have a Cat Than a Harem. Look at this beautiful art. It is written by, we're going to be on chapter 2 because I previously read the prologue and chapter 1 and all that good stuff. And we're just going to read for like 15, 20 minutes, probably. I don't know. But it's written by Kozuzu Kobato, and the artist is Hinano Chano. But our subtitle underneath our main title, I'd Rather Have a Cat Than a Harem, is reincarnated into the world of an otome game as a cat-loving villainess. Look at how cute she is. Still not sure who you are. I think you might be the prince or the brothers. There are 2 brothers or 3 brothers, I don't know anymore. But here we are. We're going to go to our automatic zoom so I can read, make sure everything is visible for me. But yeah, Chapter 2, A Fateful Encounter. One day, a little over 2 months since the evening Amy fainted and remembered her previous life, she and her mother Isabel, the Countess of Northland, paid a visit to the Duke of Coverdale's estate. Nobles generally engaged in philanthropic activities in response to some public need. Many of these activities were passed down in the family from generation to generation, but there were also many who devoted themselves to causes they had a particular interest in. One such noble was the king's younger sister, though through marriage she was now the wife of the Duke of Coverdale. Coverdale. Name is Coverdale. Coverdale. My brain is like, I know how to speak words, but some days it's like, I don't know how to speak words. And it is a problem. But also, go ahead, make sure you got water, tea, coffee, whatever it is you have to hydrate you. As that is important. Stay hydrated. The Duchess's unrivaled love of cats was common knowledge in high society circles. She tried to educate others about the issue of animal breeding, all while taking care of stray and abandoned cats herself. It was also commonly known that the Duchess would throw her doors wide open to like-minded cat lovers. As soon as Isabella had told her that Amy wanted to adopt a cat, they were both warmly invited to her home. I like that the Duchess is also a cat lady. I hope her husband is understanding. The Duchess showed them to the room that acted as her cat's sanctuary, where the cats could spend their time however they wished. "Wow!" Amy exclaimed, eyes sparkling with wonder as the room came into view. "This is absolutely amazing! It's just perfect!" Atop the floor, blanketed in low pile carpet, was a huge wooden tower where the cats could climb and play. There was a gently swaying hammock that dipped in places where several cats had curled up. Little cat houses of woven wicker were set up throughout the room. Every inch of the room looked incredibly comfortable. There wasn't a trace of animal odor or hair anywhere due to the purification magic cast inside the space. Amy had heard that the Duchess employed a magician full-time, so the cleanliness of the room didn't come as much of a surprise. At the same time, Amy became even more determined to work harder at learning magic. Amy could see snippets of soft backs and relaxed tails peeking out between the seating cushions placed throughout the room, making her feel as though she had just walked into a cat cafe. Despite it being her first time meeting the Duchess, and Amy herself being far below the Duchess in rank, Amy found it very hard to rein in her ever-building excitement as she was shown into the room. All the cats were rescues, but there were so many different types and colorings that Amy felt her attention pulled in 100 different directions at once. Her heart ached when she heard that one of them had been abandoned in a park so young that its umbilical cord had still been attached. Oh. No one knew if something had happened to its mother or if a person had abandoned it on purpose. It was impossible to protect every single abandoned cat in the world, but even so, Amy truly believed that helping cats, as much as one means allowed, was important. A satisfied smile spread between the Duchess's plump cheeks as she watched Amy gazing at the cats in wonder. The Duchess had always said that girls these days were too skinny. She had so warmly welcomed Amy to her home for that reason alone. Perhaps she had felt a sense of camaraderie. "So," the Duchess said to Amy gently, "I've heard you've been studying my book on how to take care of cats. But of course a good match has a lot to do with personality and compatibility. Which kind of cat would you prefer, then?" That's kind of hard to say. They're all just so cute." Amy covered her cheeks with her hands and sighed. There was a brown striped cat that had only one ear folded down. There was an elegant blue-gray cat with slightly stumpy legs. There was a cat with white only on its feet, like it was wearing socks. Oh, there was a cat with a slightly bent tail. They were all adorable. There was also a slightly chubby cat who, for quite some time, had been leaping at the curtains and then falling over, and one who had been eating treats on the other side of the room with a mustache-like pattern on its face. They were each so uniquely charming, it was like comparing apples to oranges. That's why, if I can only choose one, I think I'd rather have the cat choose me. If a cat came to live with Amy, they would have to leave the place they'd come to know and love and leave their cat friends behind. Amy at least wanted them to decide for themselves whether they wanted to come home with her. I just don't think it's fair if I'm the only one happy with the choice. The Duchess beamed when she heard this. That's exactly right. Very wise, Amy. There are many adults who don't even understand that. Perhaps there were some things only cat lovers understood. The three of them walked right past the sofa and instead sat on the floor cushions, letting the cats crawl on their laps. They continued discussing cats like that for a while, eventually agreeing that Amy should go along and meet all the cats a few times to try to find a compatible one. But at that moment, Amy looked past the Duchess and noticed a cat coming out from behind a stack of cushions in the corner of the room. After looking at Amy appraisingly, the cat suddenly turned its face toward the window. "Ah," Amy gasped, quietly surprised. "Oh, yes," said the Duchess, turning around and cheerfully introducing the new face. "He's been with me here the longest." His fur was black and had orangey-brown stripes. Tufts of long hair sprouted out of his slightly large ears, which were pointed like perfect triangles. Amy could tell the long, thick fur on his body was incredibly soft, even from where she was sitting. His tail, which was probably the same length as his torso, was long, thick, and bushy. What surprised her most, however, was the sheer size of him. He's enormous. He's an adult, so he won't get any bigger than this. He was so huge, he looked more like a miniature tiger than a house cat. Even if Amy did try to lift him in her arms, his hind legs would probably still drag on the floor. That is, if she would be able to lift him at all. Isabel quietly drew closer to Amy and whispered in her ear, "It looks like a breed even bigger than a Maine Coon." Amy thought so too. In her previous life, Amy had always wanted a huge, long-haired Maine Coon. She never dreamt she'd meet the spitting image of her dream cat in this life. "Come here, Tiger." "Tigger?" "Tigger." Tigger. The wonderful thing about Tiggers is being a wonderful thing. We bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. Do-do-do-do-do-do. "Come here, Tigger," called the Duchess. Although the cat's ears twitched, his gaze was resolutely fixed on the window. Only when it seemed as though enough awkward silence had passed did the cat finally turn to face the group. The excess of hair around his neck made his body look even bigger. His defined mouth had such a lovely curve, almost as if he had popped out of a painting. And Tigger's eyes were the exact same shade of gold as Amy's. When the Duchess called again, he started walking slowly towards them. The soft timp-timp sounds of his wide, graceful feet against the ground were almost too cute for Amy to handle. Amy could sympathize with the cat as he took a slight detour and seemed to be calculating the distance between them. They were strangers in Tigger's room. Of course, he would be wary. "You're pretty sharp, Tigger." Amy suspected he had been observing the group even before he had appeared in front of them, ever since they had entered the room. "Tigger's 5 years old. A male, of course," the Duchess continued. "He's quite big, but he's just a pampered boy and a little shy of strangers." "Really?" asked Isabel. "What was his life like before he came here?" Tigger had finally made his way over to them. As the Duchess petted him, she grinned slightly, reminiscing to herself. "An acquaintance of mine had raised Tigger since he was a kitten, but they passed away very unexpectedly. With no one who would claim him, he came here, but he just hasn't been able to meet the right owner. He's been here for 2 years now." So he's 5 now, he's been there for 2, so he lived 3 years with his previous owner, who sadly passed away. Very sad for that owner. Amy had heard that it typically took fostered cats 6 months at the longest to find a new owner. 2 years was quite long. "But he's so wonderful," Amy lamented. "You think so? It's just his size, you see. People can't seem to help getting so shocked and put off by it." Amy was not exactly tall. Tigger would probably be taller than her if you include the length of his tail. But she wasn't scared by this. Instead, she rather enjoyed imagining what it would be like to hug him and be blanketed by the soft creature. As the Duchess continued to pet him, he let out a small chirp of pleasure. The brief, high-pitched, sweet sound resembled the chime of a bell, and was widely out of place from his large frame. Amy thought her ears might melt with happiness. "He's so cute. He sounds so cute," she cooed. "Would you like to pet him?" "Are you sure?" The Duchess smiled and beckoned her over. "Come here by us, slowly and quietly." Amy approached and sat down silently in front of him, but slightly off to the side to avoid spooking him. She simply sat there wordlessly until Tigger, contentedly being stroked by the Duchess, finally took notice of Amy and turned towards her. "He's such a beautiful kitty, and those eyes!" Up close, Tigger's beauty became even more apparent. His fluffy fur was totally soft everywhere like cotton candy. As Amy stared with pink cheeks, Tigger looked directly at her. Amy felt like she might be sucked into his golden eyes. "This girl is my guest today," the Duchess explained to the cat. "Won't you let her be your friend?" "Hello, Tigger. My name is Amy." Amy put out her hand to Tigger without touching him, asking wordlessly if it would be all right for her to pet him. After making sure he didn't hate the idea, she gently extended her hand and petted him between his ears and around his forehead. She readjusted so she could run her hand down his body a few times. "My, it looks like he's okay with it," said the Duchess happily. "That doesn't happen often. Your fur is so smooth, Tigger. You've got such a beautiful coat, you know. It's so lovely." We have an image here. Look at them. Just absolutely fucking precious. And Tigger, look at him. Beauty. I believe what we're seeing right here is supposed to be like the Duchess's dress sitting beside her. She looks so cute and teeny tiny. But yeah, look at Tigger. Look at him. He's beautiful. He's great. Absolutely wonderful. And based off the cover, this is the cat that she's definitely gonna get, unless this issue is like, this volume is just her constantly at the Duchess's house. Although the Duchess was a little surprised that such a shy cat was meekly letting Amy pet him, she was delighted to hear Tigger being spoken of so well. Tigger did not seem entirely displeased either, his gold eyes squinting contentedly. His fur was as smooth and soft as silk. Running her hands through his thick hair, Amy couldn't keep herself from smiling. Spellbound, she moved her hand underneath his chin. The inner part of the fur around his neck grew even shorter and denser. His fur was almost also malleable, so even though her hand could easily sink into it up to her wrist, the fingertips of Amy's small hands couldn't even reach the skin underneath. Amy wondered if he had gotten used to being touched by her, or if it had just felt nice being petted. Tigger placed his front paws on Amy's lap to rub up against her. "Oh my goodness, he's so fluffy and cute," she muttered. "This is wonderful, Amy. He's never been that attached to me." Never before had Tigger fawned over someone so obviously. This time, the Duchess was genuinely astonished. But Amy didn't have the wherewithal to respond. Unable to refuse the sweet meow Tigger chirped. In his high-pitched voice, Amy started petting him with both hands. It almost looked like Tigger was petting her, too, and their closeness seemed to give off the illusion they were hugging each other. Her study of magic had prolonged her wait to get a cat, but in fact it was this very magic, and particularly the healing magic she had put so much effort towards, that had awakened a special type of healing magic lying dormant inside Amy. This rare power was still weak, but because it did not affect humans, Amy herself was unaware of its existence. However, there were some highly sensitive animals that could sense it. What Tigger felt from Amy herself and from her hands was a sense of security, and above all else, a comfortable warmth. Oh, I skipped a page I didn't mean to skip. Because I hit an arrow button. That was not on my supposed to hit list. Eventually, Amy was completely toppled over by Tigger, but she was so entranced that she didn't even try to free herself from under the bundle of soft fur until she was rescued by the panicking Duchess. There never was, and would probably never again be, anyone whom Tigger was so taken with. It was quickly and easily decided that Amy, who had already won the Duchess' confidence, would adopt him. There was, unfortunately, one bump in the road. Having never expected to care for such a large cat, the Northland still had some preparing to do before they could take him home. Amy wept, and the Duchess promised her that Tigger's adoption would simply be put on hold until they had finished getting their home ready for him. Amy, in turn, promised Tigger that she would visit him all the time until she could take him home. And then Amy and Isabella took their leave of the Duke's residence for the day. And we're going to end this here because it's been about 20 minutes. And when we come back, we'll continue on with Chapter 2. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Let me know if there's anything else specifically that you guys would like me to read to y'all or read aloud. I am totally down for that. After all, I absolutely love reading stuff. So yeah, let me know what kind of things you want me to read, Reddit threads, other books, fan fiction you've written that you would like to hear me read aloud and struggle over, character names, because character names always get me. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. You're all awesome and wonderful. Have a lovely day. Remember to stay hydrated, all that good stuff. If you want to check me out, I do have a Patreon. I've got a Redbubble where you can purchase stickers of characters and stuff that I've designed. I've got a Ko-fi if you want to commission me for anything. And I've also got a Fiverr as well as I also have an OF where you can get pictures and videos of me doing all that stuff that you would probably expect from OF. But yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye. Remember to stay hydrated. Remember to eat stuff. Thank you very much to my Patreon and Ko-fi supporters, Diamond and Micah. You guys are awesome. And so yeah, bye-bye.